Everyone has moments in life they can't just stop thinking about. They can be embarrassing things, like that one time you face planted in front of a group of teenagers, or something amazing like the first time you hosted your family for the holidays. And on Baby, This is Keke Palmer, hosted by me, Keke Palmer, and presented by BMW, we know to savor the good memories and let go of the bad. And one thing everyone remembers fondly is their first time behind the wheel of a BMW. So come join me and BMW this summer as we explore pop culture moments and topics you just can't stop thinking about on Baby, This is Keke Palmer. Sponsored by BMW, the ultimate driving machine.
Acast powers the world's best podcasts. Here's a show that we recommend.
What is The Briefing Room? It's a behind-the-scenes look at how the criminal justice system works and the lives of the people within that system.
If you love true crime, well, these are the real people who do the job every day of making sure justice is served.
Hi, I'm Detective Dave.
I'm Detective Dan. Together we have decades of experience in local law enforcement, a profession that we think is often misunderstood.
So we're going to explore how to do it right, and we won't shy away from when it's done wrong. These are stories you'll hear nowhere else. Unique, frank, and unvarnished.
From the team that brought you Small Town Dicks, this is The Briefing Room. Episode 1 drops on August 30th.
We'll meet you in the briefing room.
Acast helps creators launch, grow, and monetize their podcasts everywhere. Acast.com.
And welcome back to Little Cuts, our weekly mini-sode where we dig into the things that we've been watching and or reading recently. I'm Terry.
And I'm Mary Beth. This week we are talking a ghost story set in 2 time periods, a divisive third entry in a spooky series, and then we get wooka down with the sickness. Get up, wooka down with the sickness. Get up. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah. So before we do get to all of that, I do want to, so we talked to Sapphire on Monday, right? And then we were sharing our things on Twitter, and everyone was coming in with their wonderful haunted and or creepy dolls that everyone had. Oh no. It's making an appearance.
Hello, my baby. Hello, my darling. Hello, my ragtime girl. That was the baby. That was the baby. She sang. She's found her voice. Ah.
Good old Rattly Eye is doing a dance. Ah! I don't know if you can hear that, listeners, but that was amazing. Yes.
ASMR? Sorry. Anyway, haunted dolls.
It's funny because I was watching at work on lunch because I have, again, very few things that I'm able to access at work. It was on Vice.com, which, again, call back to our episode with Zach Lamplugh talking about how, he wanted to make fun of the Vice. Well, what do they have? They have a video of people interviewing this couple that has this toy removal and rehoming service. Called Unsettling Toys.
Just lean into the branding. I gotta respect it. Just this is what we are. You're like.
And so what they do is they'll come to your home and in a quotations, like I'm quoting this, compassionately remove any undesired or unsettling toy. Their work is guaranteed. If in the very rare instances a toy reappears in the home, we will remove it promptly. Remove it promptly. So what they do is they go to people's homes. They collect creepy dolls, and then they do an adoption process with people where you can call into them. They will do Zooms. There was a video of them Zooming with people talking about, rehoming their dolls, and they will match a doll to your personality. And for the cost of I think it's $30 in shipping, or depends on the cost of the item, they will ship it to you and you can rehome one of these creepy dolls. They have a list of all the ones that are available.
They do. They also have the permanent collection, including Mr. Creeperton, who is a fucking scary ass bunny with the freak. Oh my god!
Oh my god!
Jesus Christ!
Have you gotten down to Maria yet?
No, we haven't. But there's a close up of Mr. Creeperton, and it's going to haunt my dreams.
Scroll down to Maria.
Oh no!
Maria, for those that obviously can't see, and we will include this in our link, is an old medical dummy. And she
all right, I'm going
has
back.
a Leatherface / Michael Myers type face that you could pull off, and there is just a gaping hole where her mouth should be and her eyes should be underneath that. And it is absolutely terrifying, and they have kept this particular one in their permanent collection.
Posed her.
They were posing with her in the Vice video.
Oh my god. Wow, that was like really shocking. I scrolled down and it's this horrific face. I was like, I'm done. Who the fuck had this in their home? Why do they have it in their home? I mean, honestly though, like, I want to. Is this their full-time job?
It's a side hustle. This was part of the Vice.com's side hustle video series.
I was gonna say, I'm like, is there that much business? Wait, I work for an animal shelter. Should I work for them as their social media person?
You absolutely should.
Yeah,
we
okay.
should
I'm
make this happen.
I'm gonna reach out.
You should. They do have social media presence.
Look, everything I've said, it's not insulting you. The dolls scare me, but I want to work with you. Can I please make TikToks about your evil dolls? Sorry, unsettling toys. I apologize. My bias came creeping in with the evil dolls.
I love it.
My fucking god. Ah, who is the Edwin? Oh, Edwin. Oh, Edwin. Oh, God.
Oh, yeah. That's... Oh,
who's available?
There's some good ones available.
Oh, Escher is $30. Ew, I want Ruby. Ew, JT. Oh my god. Sorry, everyone. You can't see any of this. I apologize. This is an audio medium, and I am just looking at a website saying things that mean nothing to any of you. But you need to go to their website because there is some shit on here that is from hell itself, and it's amazing.
Yes, we'll make sure to include this in the show notes because it was just the perfect timing. The episode is coming out, and then I saw this, and I was like, oh my god, how can we not talk about this and give them some attention because this shit's wild.
Shit is wild. You know what? And honestly, good for them.
Good for them. They're doing a good service.
They are. They truly are. Anyway, so speaking of unsettling toys, actually, interesting segue. Let's talk about this divisive third entry in a spooky series that has sometimes something to do with dolls. Of course, I am talking Conjuring 3. The Devil Made Me Do It.
Yeah.
We both saw this.
We both did see this. I went to go see it in a movie theater, and let me tell you, the theater experience did not help my viewing whatsoever. It was like, I had two really good ones, and then I'm back here, and I'm like, why are we doing this? Why is this a thing? Because let me set the scene. To the down in the row before us, to the left of us, there is someone that is explaining the movie very loudly to his, I think, mom, the entire movie. Down to the right of us, there is a woman that I don't know what she's doing on her phone, but her camera keeps strobe lighting. Like every 15 or 20 minutes or so, it just goes with a strobe light. Next to them, someone is on Snapchat the entire time.
Snapchat?
Then behind us... to my left, my friend Cassie's sitting there, and next to her, someone has put their stanky ass feet up on the chair with their shoes off, and I do mean stanky ass feet. This was my experience watching this movie, and I'm like, movie theaters were a mistake. And it also made me realize how much I miss Alamo because it's still closed here, but it's opening up the end of June, and you better believe this will be the last time I'm going to a Alamo theater as much as people
a
normie theater because let me tell you, I was so fucking annoyed.
That's disgusting. Like, all of that is annoying, but when it's happening, especially taking your shoes off in a movie theater, go fucking watch this shit on HBO Max. I watched it on HBO Max. I couldn't get to the theater. I watched it from the comfort of my bathtub. Which honestly, though, like if I couldn't go to the theater, I had candles lit and I was a little inebriated and I was watching in my bathtub and it was chef's kiss. And the only annoying thing was my cat. So.
Which it's a cat. You can't be annoyed too much.
That is disgusting.
Yeah. So that was my experience watching the movie.
Repulsive. Keep your shoes on in public unless like.
Don't put them up on the chair.
Don't put them up on the chair. Like your nasty ass feet. And movie theaters are gross. Like, they're just, like, inherently dirty. Ugh. Well. Okay, so obviously you were set up for... Again, with the fucking cat opening the door and giving me a heart attack. Anyway, so that definitely sets you up for failure in terms of having a good time with this movie. Yeah.
I didn't like this at all.
Okay.
At all.
Oh. I kind of liked it. Even though I have a lot of complaints, I liked it. Hold on. Woo. The spirit is within me.
It needed to get out.
Okay, so this is the third Conjuring movie. It is the 8th installment of the entire franchise extended universe, but it is the third Conjuring movie directly. Everyone's favorite horror mom and dad, Ed and Lorraine Warren, played by Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga, are back with their beautiful sideburns and ridiculous collars. This time they are talking about how the devil made this young man commit murder, and they are trying to prove that in court, which allegedly did happen. Now, I will say this because it's been the thing. Ed and Lorraine Warren in the movies are wholesome, beautiful people who love Jesus Christ. Actual Ed and Lorraine Warren are charlatans from hell. So let's just like establish that when I say I love them, Ed and Lorraine Warren, it is the fictional, very straight, heterosexual, religious version of them in the movies and not the actual figures who were not great people. Just so we can establish that now before anyone asks any questions or says anything.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I do have a problem when a movie tries, like, I was thinking about this, and it's not necessarily a fair comparison, but like, if someone were to make a fictionalized movie of Rush Limbaugh and turn him into a saint.
Okay. I got you. Okay.
I mean, so I do think, because like I've seen a lot of backlash on this where people are like, we're talking about the movie version. This has nothing to do with real life. And I'm like, okay, it doesn't. But you're also telling a story about people who are real, much in the same way that if we were, and it just happens to be about a subject we love horror movies. And if it happened to be about someone that we don't particularly like if it was about Rush Limbaugh and all of a sudden it erased his homophobia and all of the terrible things that he does, we would have issues with it. So, I mean,
no, that's very legitimate. And I think the thing that I have fallen like prey to at this point is that like Ed and Lorraine Warren weren't like, they were bad, but you're like, oh, but they weren't like that bad. Like you fall into this kind of trying to justify liking them in the movie, and I've fallen into that, unfortunately. But like, they ultimately are not great people who like, yeah, they did a lot of exorcisms and paranormal research, but there was a lot of manipulation going on of people that were in pain. And these movies definitely erase that, and they make them look very much like the saviors that I think they thought they were. Mm-hmm. But they were very exploitative people who used their influence and apparent clairvoyant abilities to kind of profit and make money off of that, which is not good.
Yeah.
And like, I have a lot of thoughts and feelings about this because a lot of the people that they help in these movies we've seen are like lower class, like lower socioeconomic class families who have endured some kind of either trauma or are just like working class people. and they're coming in with like, you know, they live in a nice house. They are always like dressed in a very particular way. So it looks like they're coming in to save the working class family who can't save themselves. So like these white middle class slash like wealthy white people who are very straight, who believe in our Lord Jesus Christ as our savior are the ones that are going to save them. And that like is inherently the ideology of these series. And it's not great. Like it is very much a conservative ideology. Alex West tweeted something about this. Like these movies are very much perpetuating a very conservative ideology.
They are. And, you know, it's I guess it's something that I kind of grapple with because I really liked the first Conjuring.
Yeah,
and
it's so
I thought the second one had some really great moments in it. I wasn't as enamored with that one. I know some people like that one better than the first one. I wasn't as enamored with it, although I do like that really creepy tall man. I forget what he's called. The Crooked Man? Is the Crooked Man?
Yeah, I think so. Like I liked the second one, but the first one, I loved the first one. Like I rewatched it recently, and like it is still a really good scary movie.
But I also think that is just it's James Wan. I mean,
yeah, it's James. It's James Wan. That is what it is. And like, I think another thing that this movie, the franchise, brings into like focus a lot more is how a lot of horror films about the demonic are kind of Catholic propaganda. But this one is very overt. Like I feel like a lot of possession movies are a little less like Calvary, like fucking Lorraine Warren yelling like the blood of Calvary or whatever the hell, and like her and Ed's like our love is what is like God meant us to come together, and like God, like we are together for a purpose. Like they are like hardcore, like Christianity, Catholicism is the way of the Lord.
I really felt that this one kind of leaned into that, and maybe it's because I'm misremembering the previous two, but this one for some reason really felt like a little ham-fisted in that regard.
It was, because I just watched the first one the night before, because I was like, I love the first movie. Like it didn't feel as like spoon-feeding that kind of propaganda viewpoint down your throat. Like obviously there is a lot of that religious imagery, but this one was very intensely like, look at Ed and Lorraine's love and look how God brought them together. And it was very much more like shoving the idea of God down your throat more than the previous two entries, at least in my opinion.
Yeah. And, you know, I think the other thing that I guess I thought I was going to get a little bit more courtroom drama or something with this one. And I realized after watching it that they probably really couldn't have that if they wanted to hold on to that moniker of this being based on a true story, because like in the real life case, the defense lawyer argued that he was possessed, but the judge ruled that such a defense could never be proven and therefore was infeasible in the court of law. So he was convicted and served 5 years of a 10 to 20 year sentence. And they sort of make it sound as if like he only got 5 years, but not like he was sentenced for 20. So they kind of made it sound in this movie like it was like a good thing, and that the power of good and the belief in God, you know, brought his trial down to just manslaughter. And so there are things about this movie that just kind of really bothered me. And on as a horror film, it felt as if like every few minutes I was like being treated to a movie that was better than this one. Like the shot of the Exorcist outside of the home.
I banned.
Was a direct
no more
callback.
of those shots. No more of those shots. You can't do it anymore. I'm sorry. I'm sick of it. I was thinking about that. I'm like, banned. Stop it. Stop doing this. We know.
There was an interview with the director, Michael Chavez, who included the waterbed scene because of A Nightmare on Elm Street 4. Because there was a waterbed scene in Nightmare on Elm Street 4. There's the shot.
It was pretty.
Where
It was pretty cool. I know that was cool. I know that was in 4, but like, you know, I haven't seen a ton of waterbed stuff. But then when you say that as a direct callback to that, you're like, oh, it's
and
not,
then
yeah.
There's the running at the camera thing that like it happens twice in this. That I'm like, okay, this is Mario Bava. This is going back to that well. It just felt like. It just felt like we were calling back movies that I would have much rather watched than this one when it happened. I'm sorry, but I will say, can we protect Julian Hilliard? Like,
Yes,
how many movies
with all of
is
my
this
my
poor
soul,
kid going
this
to be
poor kid is
traumatized
getting
in?
fucked up constantly. This poor sweet little boy.
I love him. He is my
he
favorite part of this movie.
He was interesting. He's a sweet, and I liked when they had him talking to Jesus is coming out of me in a burp apparently. Talking to Arnie about how it feels to have that demon. That was a really sweet moment that I really liked in the movie, that like I wish there was more of that kind of ethos throughout, where there's this like connection between these characters and recognizing the desperation and how terrible the situation is without it being cheesy. And I think that is what happened in this movie. So I'm saying this, I really enjoyed it, but it was cheesy and straight. And like, it is the straightest movie I've ever seen. And yes, there is a moment where there are two girls who seem to be in love with each other, exchange bracelets. But look, that felt like queer baiting to me. I'm just going to be 100% real with you. That felt
it was a bury your gay moment too.
It was a bury your gay moment where this girl kills her friend who is her best friend since childhood, and they might be in love. It is queer baiting a little bit, and then it goes away. So like, and also like, it's a moment where these two women, like a woman kills another woman, and then something else happens to her, and then like it comes, Lorraine and Ed have to come and solve the mystery. And so I think like that moment to me does not absolve the film of my statement about it being extremely homosexual. No, heterosexual. Extremely heterosexual. This movie is so heterosexual, and like I just don't think the argument about that one scene like absolves it of that. Having one moment with a potentially queer couple that isn't a film for what, like 5 minutes, if that, like.
Well, and their trauma is used to progress the plot, and it's used to kind of be a character point for Patrick, for Ed and Lorraine. So it's like, it's again furthering heterosexual ideology there. It's just
exactly.
Was not a fan.
No, but like I thought there were some really effective scares in this movie. I think I had a lot of fun watching it. I think it's tonally a little strange. I think it feels like a couple different movies rather than just one. But I really, really liked the antagonist, like to the point where I wish there was more about her.
I want to know more about her.
And like how I was rooting for her and wanted more of her in it, because she was this like bad bitch witch who had this like weird backstory and was like kind of a bad bitch. And I
wanted to know more about her.
I love her. And like they're probably going to make a spinoff about her, but you know what? Honestly, I'll watch it.
I'd probably watch that.
I'd watch it. So like, I mean, I don't think it's definitely 1, 2, 3 like ranking for me, but I still had a lot of fun watching it. I think it had some good scares, but I just think that these films are, without James Wan at this point, it feels like they're just leaning more into this like very conservative ideology that I hope doesn't continue. I mean, maybe they won't make any more of them. That feels probably not true to me though, just because they make so much money, and I wouldn't be surprised if they made another one, but we'll see.
So before we do get to Dawn of the Dead, I just wanted to quickly talk about this ghost story.
Okay.
It's called The Sundown Motel. It's a book by Simone St. James, who also wrote The Broken Girls, which I thought I had read, but I'd actually read The Shining Girls, so I was wrong on that. But it is a book that takes place in 1982 and in 2017. In 1982, there is a woman named Viv who wants to move to New York City, but kind of gets waylaid in this town called Fell, New York, and she starts to realize that the hotel that she's going to be working at night shift is kind of haunted, and she starts doing some investigation into that, and as to also why a lot of women end up murdered in this in this town. Then it's also set in 2017, where a woman named Carly has just moved, or is gone to Fell to find her aunt, who is Viv, because her aunt vanished in 1982. And so she is there. She gets a job at the same hotel. Their stories start to like overlap each other in terms of like interactions, and she starts to investigate the disappearance of Viv, much like we're also following Viv investigating the disappearance of a bunch of women in the town. So it's these two ghost stories set at two different time periods that are connected, and the mystery isn't the best. Like, there's no real red herrings. Once they latch on to who it's going to be, you know who it's going to be. But there's something thematically interesting about the way it's doing it, the way it's telling the story. And I really liked the way it sort of refreshes the ghost story to be about two different people, one searching for a literal ghost and one for a figurative ghost of a missing person. Huh. And it was interesting.
Cool. And the title is again? What's the title
It's
again?
called The Sundown Motel.
The Sundown Motel. Okay.
By Simone St. James. And I really dug it. And I'm really excited that I'm reading again.
Seriously, you're like, I feel like you're inspiring me again to read. So this is, and I love those kinds of parallel like structure, like the Lost Village, the book I read recently had a similar.
I just got that book in.
It's a similar structure, not exactly the same, but like it's there's two storylines going on, one in the past and one in the present, and they're in the same place, and they're kind of revolving around the same mystery. So. If you liked the Sundown Motel in terms of that like structure, then you'll dig that book as well.
Yeah, I ordered that, and I ordered The Only Good Indian. Is that what it's called? The Only Good Indians.
The Only Good Indians. Oh, get ready.
Yeah,
I love
I know
him.
you had read
Stephen
that
Graham
one.
Jones is really good writer. His shit is so good, and it's sad, but it's like. It's really, really good because it's like finally indigenous and like more indigenous representation in horror novels, and it includes a lot of that trauma of being an indigenous person and living on the reservation, but in a way that like feels very like
authentic
and not just like trauma porn. And it's also scary. Like it's written really well and it's scary. So
I'm excited.
Yeah.
So I have those two books. So I'm
sweet
excited to big into those, but. Are you ready to get down with the sickness?
I'm ready to get down with the sickness. You fucker, get up. Come get down with the sickness. I loved it.
Yeah.
It was so fun.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think of like, it is such a Zack Snyder movie, and it's so fun to see how his vision has just always been with these weird needle drops of weird covers of songs and like crazy big action sequences and like shitty characters who like are just mean to each other, but it's kind of funny. Like it is a Zack Snyder movie, and
his first movie.
Exactly. Also, what a good first movie! Like a fun first movie. I had a great time with this movie. Like, by no means is it like a masterpiece, but it's really well done. It's a good zombie movie.
Mm-hmm. And you know, we've kind of had a couple really great opening. Cold opens, and this one has a fantastic cold open. The way the virus goes down is so good. With she's working at the ICU, and then she's coming home, and then the girl's in the room, and then all of a sudden she's attacking her husband, and then her husband's attacking her, and then she falls into her tub. It seems like she's going to crack her head open.
I was writing. I was like, she has smashed her goddamn head. Like the way she hit that tile. I was like.
Mm-hmm. And then that overhead shot of the truck running through the street, slamming into the car and into the gas station with the explosion.
Oh my God. Oh my God. That reminded me of 30 Days of Night. Like two very good like bird's eye view shots that kind of give you a scale of the destruction of what's happening. Ooh. That's a good idea. Anyway, but like that is such an effective way in movies that are like large scale disasters like this to really give you a sense of what is going on. And I knew about the iconic shot of her stepping outside and panning around her neighborhood, but it's so good because like the entire beginning, something's happening, but she doesn't know. And like, how fucking scary is that? Like to have all this going on around you, and like you're with your husband, and you guys are having you're having sex, and you're having you're having a nice life, like you have a nice life, and then you wake up the next morning, and it's like, holy shit,
all gone.
This has been going on the whole time, but we just didn't. Which is funny to me, they didn't know. But I guess without cell phone, like without like the constant because this is 2004, so that's like right kind of on the peak of like being connected all the time. So I guess like. You wouldn't be as like staunchly aware of, oh shit, it's going down.
It's funny that this movie came out in 2004 around the same time. I believe just like maybe 6 months later, Shaun of the Dead comes out and has an equally similar opening. where he's completely oblivious to the zombie, like in a hilarious way, completely
Yeah.
oblivious to the zombies happening around him because he's so enraptured in his own affairs. And so, like, I think it's they're definitely, both of those movies kind of are kind of digging into a cultural moment at that point. And this movie on a rewatch with 17 years distance, it really feels like a post 9/11 movie.
Right? And like, especially with that, like, you know, I know the original movie was also in a mall, but it's like that, so that consumption, that blind, mindless consumption, and the way that we are kind of like numbed to the world around us. And it takes on a whole new meaning here with it being in the shopping mall, and with like, obviously the proliferation of like the 24-hour news cycle, and the way that, you know, we're so used to seeing everything all the time. And like, they even talk about that where they're in the like the TV store where they're surrounded by the TVs watching the news, and then it cuts out and they're like, fuck, it's over.
Right. Well, and even just waking up, when she wakes up in the morning and she walks outside and there's pandemonium going on there. I mean, that brought to mind what it was like on 9/11, like not knowing what's happening, knowing we're under attack, but not really understanding what was going on. And then like CJ's America always sorts its shit out. He's the asshole of the movie. He's him saying that, and then him talking about not letting people in the mall because we start letting people in here, we're going to let the wrong ones in.
Yep. And everyone's like, what do you mean the wrong ones?
Yeah. I'm like, that this is still something that unfortunately gets said today.
Yep. So I just realized, so there's Michael is like the all-American white dude who like is like saving the day, played by Jake Weber. I could not fucking pinpoint where I had seen him from because he scares me with his voice. He was the guy in the beach house.
Oh yeah, he wasn't he?
I just looked at it Letterboxd. I was like, I knew he was familiar, and like his vibe it gives me very disconcerting vibes, and he was in the beach house.
He was
in fact in the beach house.
It's funny because I remember watching the beach house and going, oh, it's the dude from Dawn of the Dead, and then I completely forgot about it when I'm watching this movie.
But this cast is also stacked. Like Sarah Polley.
Oh, love her.
Bitch.
She's having a moment.
Bitch. That she was the moment in that movie. Like, she's such a bitch, and I love it. Like, she doesn't deal with anyone's shit. No. And I love her.
Love her.
It's
love
like,
her.
I was watching it last night in bed, and Steve kept looking over and was like, oh, yeah, like, Dawn of the Dead, I love it. Like, oh, wow, look at that. Like, kind of, like, looking over and, you know, watching when I have my headphones on. But the one other thing I do want to talk about is the ending with the found footage in the...
I was hoping you were going to bring this up.
Found footage credit sequence that is very post 9/11 nihilism of like, oh my God, this sailed away and everything's great. Well, it's actually not. And I love that because, again, very post 9/11 nihilistic, like you think you have escaped, you think you've figured out a solution, but actually there's no way to escape this. But it's all shot on a camera they find on the boat. That the boat is the property of one of the guys that was in the mall with them, and he gets at whatever. But they find the camera.
Played by Ty Burrell.
Ty Burrell, man. It's hard to see him playing an asshole.
I know, but he does it so well.
He does it so well.
He has that voice. He has that.
He's such a good bad guy. Like, just a douchebag. Mm-hmm. Like, he's like the douchebag in the Resident Evil 2, I think, who's like the shitty business guy. But anyway, they go on his boat. They find a camera, and one of them starts filming, like just them getting away. And at the end, they film the zombies coming to the dock, and they're fucked. But also films like how they're running out of food. There's a fire on the boat. Like the
finding
fuel,
the maggots,
like the fuel,
the head.
Yeah. Oh, the head in the boat. Like that boat they find in the middle of the water, and there's just like a zombie head going yang, yang, yang in the. But this also made me sad because this made me think about what Diary of the Dead could have been.
Oh.
Because I haven't seen Diary of the Dead in a long time, and it's not terrible, but it's not great either.
It had some good moments from what I remember.
There's some really good moments, and like it's not a bad movie, but I think it could have been better. And I think that this ending of Dawn of the Dead really was like made me think about what it could have been.
I think that honestly, for me, the beginning of this and the ending of this movie are my favorite parts. Because it just the way it A, establishes that everything is fucked, and then B, just sort of hammers down on nope, everything is actually fucked. I think is a really interesting thematic through line through it, because it's not, oh, we're saved, we're helicoptering away, we have found safety. It is, nope, you're all dead. Sorry about it.
Yep. The helicopter flies over and doesn't pick them up. They're on their own. I just think I have become disillusioned with zombie movies, because I feel like we all have been kind of like, okay. But I know that this one was kind of at the height of like that or the beginning of that, like that resurgence of the zombie. And it's definitely the beginning and the end are the best made parts, but the whole thing is fun. It's gory. It's gross. There's a fucking zombie baby, which is hysterical. Like, I'm glad that Zack Snyder has a through line of doing weird pregnancy stuff with zombies. It's fun. It's just fun. And the characters are all like kind of shitty, but they're all really well acted. They all look like they're having fun. And I just had a fucking fun time watching that movie.
Yeah. Same. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Me too. Zack Snyder. He's okay.
This was his best movie.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's the one where he wasn't given as much money, so I feel like he's a little bit more restrained and doesn't have as many like huge CGI pieces that are like, why are you doing this? Like this
Not
one
a whole
felt
lot of slow motion.
Well, and it's funny because like obviously this is still a big movie, but like the scale compared to like Watchmen and 300 and like Sucker, like everything else he's done, the scale is so much smaller and it's so much tighter, and it's more like it's like a bare bones Zack Snyder who is working with a smaller budget, which I think is a much better Zack Snyder.
And he has a good script by James Gunn.
He does. Yeah, that's true. And I think we've talked about this, that like he maybe isn't the best writer. He's a good director, but he doesn't know how to edit himself. And James Gunn is a good writer and writes pretty damn good movies. So
I remember being excited for this movie because I did really like James Gunn, because I remember watching Romeo and Juliet, and you wouldn't think that movie would be good, but it was. And then I remember watching this movie and really digging it, and it was between this and then a few years later, I believe, is when Slither came out, that I was like, I love James Gunn.
He just is very like self-assured in his tone, and I love that. Like he knows what he's doing, and he just fucking goes for it.
So
I just saw. I forgot I had Unsettling Toys up in my tab. I just looked up and anyway.
I love that. So who are we talking to on Monday, Mary Beth?
Oh my God, y'all, fangirling. We are talking to horror artist and illustrator Trevor Henderson about Lucio Fulci's The Beyond. And yes, this is who I nerd out about, because he is like Siren. He's made characters like Siren Head and Upside Down Face Man and the Pale Horse. Follow him if you haven't seen any of his work. It's like found footage art, and it's so good. And he is so funny, and The Beyond is so fucking good.
Oh my God.
The conversation is so fun, and he has a
fucking
million
surprise tarantulas becomes an issue in this movie.
Terry can't catch a break with the surprise spiders doing horrendous things.
Yeah,
Spoiler alert, I don't know if Terry actually even fully watched the scene, which I understand. But anyway, get hype.
We'll get in on that.
Yeah,
let me
yes.
tell you.
Definitely. So that is coming up on Monday, which is very exciting. And then, Terry, what are we talking about on the next Little Cuts from our aughts journey?
We are going back to one of the very first remakes of this time period, 2001's, I'm not sure how to pronounce this, The 13N Ghosts. We're talking 13 Ghosts, y'all.
It's like 7, where you're like C7N. I have not seen 13 Ghosts in so long, and my memory is so horrifically hazy about this movie. So I am so pumped to watch this movie.
Me too. It's been so long. I don't think I've seen it since the movie theater, so I'm excited to revisit it.
I also think I watched it like on Sci-Fi, so I didn't get the full experience.
Oh God!
I definitely got like the watered down experience. So
can't wait.
I cannot wait. Okay, so listeners, you've heard from us. We want to hear from you. Did you watch a film that we talked about this week and have thoughts? Do you think The Conjuring 3 was good or bad? I'm curious. Do you have suggestions for our next Aughts remake? Send us an email at scarredforlifepodcast@gmail.com, or you can reach out to us directly on Twitter. I am at MB McAndrews.
And I'm at Gaily Dreadful.
And of course, don't forget to follow the podcast on Twitter at Scarred Podcast.
And please don't forget to review, rate, and subscribe.
Thank you to Eric Power for our artwork. Thank you to Sean Keller for our music. Thank you everyone for listening. Please stay safe out there, but most importantly, stay creepy.
And until next time.
When you pick up some scratches, cause you want a fun break, the playful way you scratch is the next choice you should make. You can make your dog's leg kick and scratch with that. You could even grab a laser pointer and use your cat. You can build yourself a homemade scratching machine, or use a piece from your chess set. Go ahead, grab the queen. Scratch like a DJ with your record player. A cactus could scratch off that scratchable layer. Cause when it comes to scratching, there's a million playful ways. Thanks to scratchers from the California Lottery, a little play can make your day.
Please play responsibly. Must be 18 years or older to purchase, play, or claim.
Acast powers the world's best podcasts. Here's a show that we recommend.
What is The Briefing Room?
It's a behind-the-scenes look at how the criminal justice system works and the lives of the people within that system.
If you love true crime, well, these are the real people who do the job every day of making sure justice is served.
Hi, I'm Detective Dave.
I'm Detective Dan. Together, we have decades of experience in local law enforcement, a profession that we think is often misunderstood.
So we're going to explore how to do it right, and we won't shy away from when it's done wrong. These are stories you'll hear nowhere else. Unique, frank, and unvarnished.
From the team that brought you Small Town Dicks, this is The Briefing Room. Episode 1 drops on August 30th. We'll meet you in the briefing room.
Acast helps creators launch, grow, and monetize their podcasts everywhere. Acast.com.